Welcome back to Realms of Far Off, where me and my friends get through these tough times with clicky clacky math rocks and kind of good decision making. We'll see where that takes them tonight. If you tuned in last week, you would have seen that the party has made their way to the City of Gold in order to fulfill their contract to protect a certain solstice gala, which is happening in about 2 days' time from now, from where they are. They were told by their benefactor that there were some rumblings that they had been hearing around the city of people perhaps looking to do something untoward towards the gala. And so our intrepid adventurers went off into the city, breaking up into three separate groups in order to explore different leads. Our stalwart paladin, Alara, decided to go into almost a devil's den of death and talk with some shady assassin like characters to see if maybe there were some contracts for hire. Some, like Fee and Imnos, explored the more diplomatic options by trying to find people from Fee's homeland, while our good cleric Jules, Kip, and Akko went and got drunk at a bar, found out about some people who may be tied to these grumblings that were overheard in the same establishment, and then proceeded to blow a storm door off of a basement before eventually making their way away with some good information to work off of moving forward. We are going to
strategic drunkenness.
Yeah, strategic drunkenness. We are going to reunite the party back at the morning cock where everyone comes back together. It is now late in the evening. You know that you all have roughly 2 days now before the gala is going to occur to bring your informations together and then decide what to do from there. So you all are currently in Fee's room, her private room. What would you all like to do? Not all at once.
So did anyone find anything yesterday when we were all looking at stuff?
Yes.
Okay. What did you find?
Well, there's a bar down on the south side of town, the more impoverished district.
Okay.
They're called the Wet Whistle. The barkeeper is a bit of a, well, let's say he's very dedicated to his craft, but lacks the funding to make an actual establishment. But that being said, there was a group of star chasers that meet. The Star Chasers, are you familiar with them?
Yeah, I am very familiar with them.
I blew up a door!
Kip blew up the door. They were meeting underneath the compound. Unfortunately, we realized that the better part of Valor was not to directly engage with them, as we lacked the jurisdiction or power to really do anything beyond confronting them, which seemed unwise at our numbers. But we do know where they have met. I would say that possibly Luna could escort it down there, find their scent, and possibly help us track them down.
Huh. I've been meaning to meet Star Chasers for a very long time. Interesting.
In a wilderness setting, I'd agree that Luna could probably track them, but in a city with so many interspersed scents, I dare say she would struggle.
I'd say anybody who's been down in that the basement of a bar that smelled that bad might have a particular scent.
Do I want to know why you blew up the door?
It was locked. Jules told me to do it.
I panicked.
All right. That's fair.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I was fucking waiting for him to breathe Kit and then blew up the door. But, you know.
Bit of a hair trigger, Kip.
I think he just really wanted to blow up a door.
I can do one thing quite well, and that's blow up doors.
This isn't new.
You know, Kip, you're really selling yourself short. I think you're good at more than just blowing up doors. I think you're just good at making many objects just separate themselves, reorganize themselves into many, many, many smaller pieces.
Well, I can also collapse stalactites on were-ravens, but,
Exactly.
fuck doors.
Sometimes the world is stagnant, and one needs to introduce a healthy dollop of chaos.
Stalagment.
In that, Kip, you excel.
I blow up doors.
Exactly.
I may still be shite-faced.
Let's get
The
you some
taste
tea,
of
Kip.
that terrible ale and whiskey is still on your tongue. It hasn't quite gone away yet.
It's actually kind of growing on me. Did we bring... Oh, I smashed the bottle.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain we could use this to either coat weapons with and poison someone to death or sterilize them. It's really just a coin flip which one it's going to do.
Or make bombs.
Well, I'm not sure we want to do any of the above in our current mission.
Bombs can be useful.
It's true.
I'm so fucking proud right now.
So anyway, I think Fee and I started things out, but our investigations have yet to bear much fruit.
We just have more questions than answers, unfortunately, on our end.
I have to wait for someone to make contact.
I managed to find the people that I was looking for. There are no contracts in that nature that are planned to be taken out during the gala. Doesn't mean that an independent broker won't be doing it themselves. However, they won't be going through traditional means.
I don't think that it's going to be as complex as getting the underworld involved.
I mean, were it me and I was assassin, I'd do it on the way to or the way from the gala. The gala itself would be far too secure.
Doing it at the gala means you can point the finger at someone else, and it would be a public statement.
Doing it away from the gala is a private issue. Doing it at the gala is a political statement.
And
Exactly.
Alara just puts her finger up and she twitches it towards Fee. Everything she just said.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of fucking political statements, I reckon that the Hold knows far more about what's going on, but, quote, the Hold does not concern itself with politics, which is fucking bullshit.
I think it's more reasonable to say that we cannot rely on the Hold for assistance in any matters of politic.
Most likely the information that I'll get if my contact reaches me is more information on who some of these guests might be and possibly how some of them connect to each other. But I would be surprised if anyone in the Accords knows anything about any plot against a human noble, even if it is the prince.
Painting a more complete picture is still going to be useful for us if we can do that.
Or it just could turn out to be a quite pleasant party where nothing bad happens to anyone.
I'd prefer that.
There's
I just
no
don't
such
intend
thing.
to rely on it.
Jules looks up from his tea. If somebody were doing this for a political reason, the easiest thing to do would be to find a group that already holds strife, such as the Star Chasers, make themselves associated with them and use their cover to perform the political intrigue or assassination as such, so that they can slip away while the larger group takes the blame.
Were I looking to incite someone like the Star Chasers, as they are, granted I don't have the knowledge that you two have regarding them, they're loud, they're angry. I don't think they're motivated to violence at the moment. But if we're something to happen between now and the gala to incite them, like workhouses being burned down, a flurry of arrests, someone could use that to manipulate them into taking action.
Yes, hello, I have a question. Can someone please enlighten the non-human on what the fuck these Star Chasers are?
They have shitty doors.
Star Chasers are followers of King Gillespie that seek to change their stars, so to say. They want to basically elevate themselves politically to be able to make the laws that are affecting the lower classes.
So they
They are-
basically want to replace the nobles by themselves becoming new nobles?
Essentially, to an extent, yes. At its simplest form, this is correct. Not in all cases, however.
Okay.
They're somewhat radical at times. Usually not terribly, but she's right.
What's the term for that? Would that be a meritocracy by force?
Not necessarily by force. Elevating one's status doesn't necessarily mean you're doesn't necessarily mean that you are killing someone and taking their place. It also means, you are impressing those who can change your current political status, your current socioeconomic status. You are doing things to prove that you can see things in a different way.
But it's not unreasonable to refer to them as revolutionaries.
Yes.
Aye, but to my mind, the only two ways to accomplish that are gold and violence.
Not true.
Intelligence.
You could also just sell your family into servitude.
Which grants you what?
I don't know. Ask my dad.
Would you say it grants you gold?
No. We
Well,
already
then
have
don't
it.
use the word sell.
I think we're quibbling over minutia at this point.
I just heard Akko twitch in the corner. Okay, all I'm saying is if this turns out to be a fucking boring gala where nothing exciting happens, that building has an awful lot of doors.
It won't be. It's a noble gala. It won't be boring. Something will happen.
No, I said what I said.
You know, those doors do look expensive, and I'm pretty sure any of them you explode will come out of our pay.
Aye, golden shrapnel.
We're not exploding doors at the gala unless we need to, Cap.
We also don't get to keep the bits of door that we blow up.
I hear you, but I choose not to understand you. Either of you.
I'm gonna find you a real nice door one day, Kip.
Oi, Jules.
Yes.
Pick a number between 1 and 5.
I think you're muted, Wade.
1.
I am you. You are correct. There's a knock at the door.
I get up and answer the door.
One of the innkeepers is outside the door. They smile at you all. Oh, I apologize if I'm interrupting. Madam Fee, you have a visitor downstairs.
Uh-oh.
Excellent.
And he
Emnos,
nods
do you-
and leaves.
Emnos, do you want to come with me?
Certainly.
You know more about this ogre, right? Ogre?
Not a great deal, but I'm interested in knowing more about him.
I'd tag along too. Is this someone I know from back home?
I don't think so.
Actually, would you mind terribly if we all joined you, Fee?
Let me go make the approach by myself.
Certainly.
If you want to all go down to dinner and sit at a different table but not make yourselves too comfortable, I will let you know. I can send Luna over.
Sounds like a
Yeah,
convenient time for dinner.
I'll
All right.
go downstairs with Luna.
Yeah, you make your way downstairs. As you enter into the bottom floor, looking out across the common area, you can clearly see the visage of Alara Bane, someone that you are familiar with from your time in the actual court. She has another man standing next to her that you don't recognize.
Okay.
And they are currently seated at a table with 3 empty spots at it.
All right. I will walk up to the table.
As you approach, she stands up and smiles wide at you. Fee, I did not expect to see you here.
The life of an adventurer. I didn't expect to find myself here until 4 days ago.
Well, that's amazing. So you graduated from the academy.
I did.
Well, excellent. I'm so happy to hear it. And you have Luna with you too? It's been a long time since I've gotten to see her. And she actually kneels down and pets on Luna a little. Please have a seat.
Yes, I don't believe I have met your acquaintance before.
The man sitting there stands up. My name is Fionan Goldleaf. I'm one of Alara's traveling companions for the gala. It's a pleasure to meet you, Fee. I've heard many good things about you.
It is nice to meet you as well. So I'm afraid that my request for this meeting is, it is as much pleasure as it is business, but such is the thing for all of us.
I don't think any of us expect to have dinner with someone without it being business involved.
Have you eaten yet?
No. It's quite late though. I'm sure we can have a little something though, at least some wine to wet our tongues as we talk.
Excellent. I'll signal to the barkeep to have them come over.
Yeah, they come over and they bring a bottle of wine with them.
Would it be objectionable to you if a couple of my traveling compatriots were to join us for this conversation?
I mean, it would probably depend on what the conversation's about, but if you trust them, then I don't see any reason why they couldn't join.
I do. I'll just send Luna back over to wherever everybody is sitting. They can see how many chairs are there and decide who to send over.
Yeah, Luna comes over and sniffs at Kip and Emnos and everybody, and then does a circle and walks back over towards Fee.
What's that, girl? Fee's stuck behind a door.
That's not what she's saying.
Oh my God. There's no door.
Who's going to be going over to the table?
I'll go over to the table.
Yo.
Jules will go.
Everybody's going over to the table.
I think there are
apparently.
only 2 people other than Fee can sit there, unless we pull up more chairs.
Actually, Jules will.
Yeah,
Jules will
I'll
hang
stay
back.
I'll stay back. If there's only two other chairs, I will stay back.
Okay, so Kip and Emnos are going to go over.
That works for me.
All right. You all join. Again, both people introduce themselves. Alara is a very pale woman with white hair, classic elven features, big almond eyes, longer ears. She gives a small dainty curtsy to both of you as you approach. Fionan is much more broad built. He has more blonde hair, brown eyes as he's looking at you all up and down very discreetly. But he does give a small nod to both of you as you approach, before waving to the chairs. Please join us, companions of Fee.
Thank you.
Kip is passingly familiar with the Accords. He has been my traveling companion for years and knows my family quite well and has visited the Accords before.
Excellent. It's always good to broaden the knowledge to outsiders of what grace lies within our borders.
So the matters that we wish to pick your brains about, we found out some of the attendees of the Solstice Gala.
Really?
And we're curious if you may be able to if you might be aware of possible connections or purposes beyond what we might know.
I mean, we may have some knowledge of political connections and rivalries and things like that. It would really depend on why you're asking.
If I may, I think it is our hope to ease any potential conflicts before they occur.
Are you all going to the gala? Were you invited?
That
We've
is
been
why
contracted
we are
to
here.
provide security.
Yes.
Oh, you're working for Hagrundi then.
Yes.
That makes a lot more sense now why you would know who's being there, and we don't know everyone who's going to be attending. We've been
Well,
trying to find out all who's been joining, but we have been quite successful.
To be completely fair, we had to do a fair bit of that investigating on our own. They were quite tight-lipped about attendees for obvious reasons.
In the blatancy of what we are working on, it would be safe to say that an attack upon the stability of the human empire would hold further reaching consequences upon the Accords, potentially, correct? The destabilization of one could potentially cause destabilization of another.
I would say in some respects that's true. We do have large trade networks with the Imperium. If the Imperium suffered egregiously, that could have effects on our own trade and resources. It really depends on locations.
And we are not actively plotting any threats to the human empire.
Oh no, I don't think that's what Fionan's trying to say, B. I think he's just trying to answer the question broadly. I mean, yes, is probably the easy answer to the question is that if something did drastically happen to the Imperium, it could have a domino into certain parts of the Accords, yes.
I pull out a piece of paper and I write a note on the piece of paper and I slide it over that says, "Are you aware the Crown Prince will be attending?"
They both look at each other and then look back to you. We did not know that. That is news. I think if that was known, we probably wouldn't be here.
I don't know what the purpose of the various attendees are. But I feel that is one of the reasons why we were contracted to be here.
Please forgive my ignorance. The subtleties of politics of this kind are a bit beyond me, but may I ask why that might have changed your choice to attend?
Well, it wouldn't have changed our choice to attend. It would have changed the choice of the court to send us.
They would have sent higher people.
Right. We are nobility, but we're fresh nobility as far as the Accords are concerned. I only recently married into a noble house, and Fionan is a third son of a minor noble house in all respects. We were sent as, I guess you might say, a token gesture to the invitation. The gala is nice and is a good place to build connections, but it really wasn't primed as far as the chords were concerned.
Well, the personage in question is known for being somewhat brash. I suppose it wouldn't surprise me if he wished to keep his attendance secret so that he might make a more dramatic entrance.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. I don't know too much about the sons of the imperial family, but they can certainly do much of anything that they want to do within the Imperium lands. If it was a flight of notion that he just wanted to attend out of nowhere, the Hagrundis may not have had an opportunity to let everyone know. I think
And
that
you
if it
don't
was
say no.
planned, I think if it was planned, I think they would have made a much big spectacle of it than what it currently is. This is the way this was presented to us is just a casual gala, a place to rub elbows, get to know other foreign nobles, make connections, talk about trade and delegations, and share knowledge and things like that. It's not one of the bigger events, as far as we're concerned, international.
Interesting.
There are a few other interesting inclusions on this list, including some pirate noble.
That's odd.
A noble family from what's the name of the kingdom? Starts with a V. Damn it.
Voon.
Yes, Voon. Thank you.
From the city of
The
Hyde.
place from
The
Hyde,
place
the city of Hyde. Yes, from the kingdom I'm from and should know the name of.
Well, you're from Voon. The pirate family is from the city of Hyde,
Which is across the Sea of Tranquility. It's the other side. That's how
My
you
mistake.
Also, who is this individual Imnos that you?
Yes. There is a representative from the Undersenate attending. An ogre mage, I believe.
like
And
an actual representative of their government, not just one of their foreign delegates.
more than that, his title is Burrowmaster.
Whatever sort of airs that they are projecting, you can clearly, without any sort of notation, see a crack as they both go a little slack-jawed for just the briefest of moment at hearing that title, before composing themselves back up.
I had rather the same reaction.
I don't know how that would be possible, and I certainly don't know why someone of that prestige would be in attendance, let alone how. It doesn't make much sense. I mean, I suppose the more I think about it, the more I could think of hows. It might not actually be him. It may just be someone representing him, carrying his name. There are certainly
Simulacrum.
capable magics that can carry someone's image across the distance of land without breaking their laws. But still, for him to be on that list is very astonishing.
Does any of that explain the potential for why?
I don't know why he would concern himself with coming here. The Under Senate has long been isolated from the affairs outside of their ranges.
So it is safe to say that everything presented to our lands and to our court regarding this party downplayed the attendees on other parts.
Significantly.
So I don't know how you want to. Can you think of anybody who would, any large acting parties who would hold malice directly to either of those bodies? Like,
To the Under Senate or the Imperium?
I mean more, are there any major players that you could name who would be brash enough to want to make a showy example of force?
If that was going to happen, this lead off is exceptionally cultivated to obfuscate the attendees, the prestige of the attendees. I mean, Kali is always rearing for a fight, but they don't do it in this sort of way. They've never have in centuries of existence. But the other kingdoms, we've lived a golden age of peace for the last several hundred years since Zag. Most of the nations are, while not in true peace and happiness and bubbles, non-aggression pacts, peace accords. We're even speaking to some old enemies and garnering peace in other locations. I don't know who would want to jeopardize any of it with war or aggression on this possible scale.
I think the more appropriate question is who would stand to gain the most.
I mean, I guess it would depend on who you think is going to be attacked. Is this an attack that you think is going to happen on agents of the Imperium or agents of the Under Senate or on us? I don't know why they think that would accomplish much.
As far as I can tell, with the indications that you've given me of who we've sent, I think it very unlikely that it would be against us, because even an attack on the smallest trees of the forest usually draws the ire of the oaks.
True. If they attacked us at the gala, there would be repercussions, but nowhere near the repercussions as if a direct agent of the Queen was in attendance, someone with
Correct.
true royal authority.
Correct,
But if
but
someone
you're
attacks
not...
the Crown Prince, it's a much different affair.
Right. I'm saying it would be a foolish move to, if you're going to try to cut off the head of the snake, just cutting off its tail.
I could only imagine that if anyone held any malice towards the Accords in this case, they would simply perform something untoward and attempt to use it as an excuse to discredit your delegation. But that seems a bit complicated.
I don't think the Accords are a target. My purpose for meeting with you was to try to gain information and also to try to give you some information so that you could possibly be an informed attendee. And if you notice something that being more present in the court and being more aware of the situation than what I am, being so removed, there is a possibility that you could find a way to get a message to me. Whereas it would look untoward if a guest were to act, it would not look untoward if the bodyguards for the affair to act.
Oh no, if we see something suspicious in nature, I'll certainly make sure word gets to you quickly. I have subtle magics in my employ to make sure the winds whisper correct words in your ear. Do you have... Is this all conjecture, or is there an actual credible threat that's been postured to the gala? Should we even continue to attend?
In all transparency, this is conjecture. We are simply trying to anticipate anything that could come up.
It is not conjecture who the guest list is. We have that confirmed. And I do not think there is any reason for you not to attend. I think at this point, drawing out of the gala would cause more diplomatic issues than, you know, attending and having something happen where with you not being the target. I feel like I wouldn't want certain noble parties to take slight.
My guess is that if there's anything politically stated to occur, the role intended for you is to witness it.
Well, I certainly hope nothing is going to happen. Certainly nothing at the possible scale that this could affect. Even a wound on the crown prince would have rippling effects across every attendant that's there and the nations that they serve. Let alone if a more dire situation came to him or the burrowmaster, if that's really who's going to be attending. I would hate to see what the Under Senate has been keeping secret behind their mountains for so very long now, if they were antagonized in such a way. Their might is obfuscated, unlike the clear strength of the Imperium, which is a known factor. In fact, I would probably be more scared if something happened to their delegation than happening to the Crown Prince.
Kip, could you do me a favor?
Oi.
I slide a piece of paper over to Kip and a quill. Can you ask Jules to write down every name that he remembers from that list of who will be there?
Sure.
I believe he's the one who looked at that list the longest.
Kip will do so.
We are obviously relying on your discretion in this matter.
Of course.
I'm trying to get you a more extensive list of who will be attending, obviously, to see if any of the other names give you pause for consideration.
We appreciate it. Of course, discretion will be handled appropriately.
Oh, everything is going to get burned once we're done with this meeting.
No, I think your friend was implying not going around and wagging our tongues.
Oh, yeah.
No offense intended, of course. I simply thought it was worth making explicit.
These are important matters. And while there is a subtle circle of trust here, it does not hurt to make it a more defined one.
I appreciate your understanding.
If I could venture a thought that's been troubling me since this conversation started, I'm interested in your opinion on the matter. In my mind, granted, with a healthy amount of paranoia, I see two possible outcomes for the list of attendees. Three. The first being that nothing of any import could happen, which obviously would be the most desirable outcome. What I feel is more likely is if something bad were to happen, there are two intentions by the parties involved. One, given the variety of the attendees, representatives from all the major factions in the known world, is something of such import that they want the word to be spread far and wide. And two is the attempt to create friction between the parties involved. Cast the blame around, play a shell game, making everyone wonder, well, was this the elves think it was the dwarves think it was the Imperium thinks it was who the fuck cares. Everything else is too simple, and when things are too simple, I tend to distrust them.
With this level of attendance, it is a powder keg.
Aye.
Unless they're sending a skilled blade, just surgically strike at one particular attendant, I would fear your second observation more than any other.
Or lacking a skilled blade, perhaps a revolution of many, many angry individuals.
Possibly. I feel like we are scaring ourselves with possible ghosts, though.
But that's why I'm still alive. It's a It's an every waking moment type of thing for me.
If I may
Paranoia.
Sorry, continue.
Paranoia will only keep you awake for so long before it drives you mad.
It's good advice. If I may be entirely candid, and at the risk of sounding somewhat unprofessional as an adventurer, do you have any advice for how we may approach this situation?
That's not unprofessional, that's just smart.
I believe observation will be your greatest tool, as well as anything you can accomplish outside of the gala. Once you're inside the gala, your tools will be extremely limited. You will be purely reactionary at that point. I would say that every moment you can devote to sleuthing out what is going on outside the gala should be where you explore your greatest courses of action. Because once you're inside, all you can do is wait for something to happen.
It was roughly our evaluation as well, but I appreciate you confirming it.
Agrandi's going to have his own personal security there. I believe that before we're allowed to enter into the estate, they're running magical detections across all the guests for security. That's what was explained to us in our invitation. So any simple things will be caught fairly quickly.
Indeed.
But Fionan's correct. You won't be able to just walk up to some of these people and have conversations with them. We're only sitting down with you because of our relationship with Fee and her own standing on the court.
Indeed.
Some of these people won't give you the time of day to have a conversation with you, regardless of any situation that's going on.
Well, we've been instructed by our employer not to, more to be
Seen
little
and
to
not
be
heard.
seen and less to be heard, even. Which is why I thought it best to make contact beforehand. To mention that, you know, if you saw something, to ask that you let me know in the most discreet ways possible, as I would be very limited to send any messages the other way.
No, and I'm glad that you reached out to me, Fee. And Alessandra actually reaches across the table and takes your hand. This is extremely worrisome. Feel like if there was anything, even a rumor or a thought, we would have been prepared in a different way. But everything that we were told said to come here in trust and in friendship. And this sounds like it's so much more, and we should have known something before sitting at this table with you. Please be careful.
If I could ask one more question, a hypothetical.
She lets go of Fee's hand and sits back. Of course.
If the Accords were to hold a similar gathering, would they outsource security to the Adventurers Guild, or would they take it as a matter of pride that their own security, their own people were sufficient for the gathering?
It would depend on the level of the meeting. If it was one such of this, it would be a fairly common attendance for a renowned adventuring group to be in attendance, if only to show the might of the host, the wealth and their prestige. But for, say, a royal gala, perhaps champions of the land would be invited, not as security, but as actual invited guests.
But in either hypothetical, a group of adventurers 1 month out of graduation for a gathering of that import seems strange, no?
I mean, it seems strange. I'm not very familiar with the way the Adventuring Guild works, not being a part of it. But my understanding is that it's whatever adventurer grabs the contract first, right? You all were given this contract, you took it.
Aye, but the way that it works is we would not have access to it unless it was considered within our capabilities.
I believe the answer may lie in your own reaction, actually. That the guest list came with as much as a surprise as it did. It would not surprise me if Lord Grundy himself did not expect such illustrious guests, and he himself finds the matter strange. It may be why he outsourced for additional security to prevent unforeseen problems.
Well, we can go back there tomorrow and ask questions and find out
Maybe
how
worth doing
prepared.
so.
I've had to hire adventurers once in the course of my life. And the process is fairly streamlined over the years that the adventuring guild has existed. To tell you a client's perspective versus the adventurer's perspective, when I had to hire them, I simply told the adventuring guild what my trouble was and how much trouble I thought it would be and how much money I was willing to spend. From there, they did what they did, and adventurers found themselves on my doorstep to handle my problem. Now, they were capable, but I didn't know how long they had been out of the academy. I didn't know what experience they had. I didn't ask. All I did was tell them the finer details of what was going on, and then they went off to go and handle my problem. It could be that Hagrundi gave lesser knowledge, or it could be that he gave the knowledge that he thought was pertinent, and the adventuring guild took that for what it was and thought that you were capable based on what they were told at the time. This could be something far and away outside your realm of capabilities, but the way it's done, they may not know that.
Kip, did you get that list?
I requested it.
Jules, do you write out the list of the names that you know?
Jules is across the room watching the conversation. He was not sitting at the table.
I will go over and trade places with Jules. Wait, would you like to take my seat?
Sure.
There are things I need to think about anyway.
Jules will walk over.
The two elves look over to Jules and give him polite nods.
Nod back. Do
Jules.
I recognize either of them?
No. You've never encountered them before.
Okay.
I asked Kip to ask you if you could write out the names of any of the guests that you remember from the invitation list for my friends here.
Sure.
As they have more connections diplomatically than I do and might recognize some of the names.
The ones that stood out to me, the crown, obviously.
We're not talking about that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Lord Gerald Brunson was going to be in attendance. The agricultural house head.
The Seed Lord.
Tiberius Unct. He controls the blood swamp, I believe.
Was the historian as well? What was her name?
Ingrid Vossmarch.
We know that name.
Jules will smile. Someone named Alara Bain.
She smiles at you very wide.
Thank you.
Those were the only ones that really stood out to me. The pirate group, the Rowstones. What have you all concluded thus far?
That's a long story, and we'll talk more about it when we get up to the room to save my friends from having to repeat themselves.
I was eavesdropping a little bit.
Fair.
As adventurers do.
As a wise one does.
In short, though, fairly little, except that the situation is bizarre, as we expected.
Jules, give me a sense motive check.
Okay. Sorry, I hadn't had my character sheet pulled up.
Oh, it's fine.
I would like
You-
to use my inspiration. Or
Absolutely, re-roll it.
please. 12.
Is that one just for Jules, or is it possible I could do that as well?
Just Jules for this one.
No worries.
Jules, you're looking at them to see if
Mhm.
any of them recognize you, and also to see if you recognize them.
Certainly.
You don't recognize them at all. You've never seen these two elves at all in any of your travels or in the Accords when you were there. For a moment, you feel like Fionan lingers his gaze on you when you say a wise one does. But eventually his gaze just slips away and moves back over to Emnos and then back to Fee.
If I may ask, and not to be so rude, as I know you are Fee's friends, where do you hail from in the Accords?
Oh, well, I hold my house outside of the Citadel, says Fionan. Yeah, and I'm from the Red Keep, personally on the West Coast.
The Red Keep. I've heard that place is quite beautiful.
It is. Actually, I believe you mentioned the Blood Swamp. Many of the places that are made there out of stone and brick are imported from the muds of the Blood Swamp. Creates a spectacular display of colors during the night's lights.
I shall hope to travel there one day.
You would be a guest.
I appreciate that. I must excuse myself, and Jules will stand up and immediately head up to his room.
They both nod to you as you leave and then turn back to look at Fee. Fee, we really should probably get going. Our other companion, we left him behind. But if there's anything that you need from us, we are staying at the Ravenous Room. So feel free to send any messages there if you need us, and of course we'll send messages here if we need you.
I think you might be muted, Dakota.
I am. Excellent. I greatly appreciate your time.
We appreciate yours. We will handle this with as much discretion as we're able.
It was an honor to meet you both. Thank you.
Pleasure to meet Fee's friends. And they will both stand up and make their exit.
How much do I owe the inn for the wine?
It's already been paid for.
Oh, those jerks. Okay.
You'll just have to get the next tab.
Damn elven politeness. Fucking Canadian.
Jules. Pulling the dad snake in the check trick.
Um,
I'm gonna head to my room. I've got a lot to think about.
I'll head back upstairs and knock on Kip and Jules's doors.
Jules doesn't answer.
Okay.
You hear activity in the room. He does not answer though.
Okay.
Kip will poke his head out of his room.
Do we want to reconvene to discuss what information was imparted, or do you think everyone was everyone just listening?
I mean, I would have been if I hadn't invited myself to the table. Jules took off in a hurry. Have you spoken to him?
Someone's in his room. I can only assume that it's him, but he is not answering the door.
Is there a door in the way?
We're not using that plan again, Kip. I don't want to get kicked out of this inn. This is a very nice inn, Kip.
Kip will just
Paid
raise.
for 2 more
Kip
days.
will raise his voice. Jules, your door is closed, and I only know one way to open it.
Wade, you got a PM on Discord?
Let
Just let me know if I find it.
Give me 1 second here, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta deal with a ninja note.
I'm going to count dramatically slow because I feel like something shouldn't happen at this moment for some reason.
Oh goodness.
Jules will come to the door with a small satchel in hand. Yes, is there something I can help you with, friends?
You arsehole.
I was checking to see if we needed to reconvene to discuss any of the information that my friends imparted.
I mean, I'm happy to discuss it more at length. Yes, if you would like, I have some thoughts on what was presented. Most specifically, what was mentioned in regards to the way that a court would normally handle this sort of event. That adventurers of renown would be expected for guards, not us.
Yeah. Let's reconvene, everyone. Do you mind if we use your quarters?
Not at all. Jules looks visibly flustered, but he opens his door. You notice that his his belongings are kind of sprawled out on the floor, and you'll see him packing it all up.
Luna, go get Alara.
Luna rushes up to you down in the common room.
Well, okay. Alara's not there.
Oh.
Circles around, runs back up to Fee.
I just look at Jules and shrug, and then kind of drag Kip into the room.
I'll look around for Alara. Now I'm concerned. I'll check her. I'll knock on her door.
No answer.
Go downstairs. Look out in the yard.
She's not there.
I'll ask the barkeep. Do you happen to know where our companion, the young woman in heavy armor, may have gone? Did you see her go anywhere?
No, sir. I wasn't really keeping an eye on anyone in particular. It's kind of a busy night.
Okay.
Let's pause there and let's cut to Alara. Alara, where are you? What are you doing? Let's find out.
Towards the end of their meeting, Alara got up, quietly walked out of the inn, and walked towards the hold, toward the obelisk.
Okay. You find yourself standing outside the same oaken door that's represented for every obelisk. Light is on the inside. You can see through the little pane of glass that's in the center of the door.
She walks in.
Tinkering of ethereal bells sets the alarm that you've entered into the building. There's a young woman sitting behind the desk. She looks up. Oh, hello. How can I help you?
Hello, I need to send a letter from here to the obelisk in Voon to be delivered to a citizen of Voon.
Of course. It'll just be 5 silver pieces. And then make sure you clearly denote who you want it delivered to.
Yes. I will do that. I would also like to pay for if that individual has to send me a response immediately.
1 gold.
I hand him the gold, hand her the gold, and I hand her the letter. Is in your Discord, and I make my way back.
All right, let me look at this real fast, folks. Got it. All right. So you head back to the tavern.
I will presume you run into Imnos out in the street looking for you.
Yeah,
yes.
You actually run into each other as Imnos is leaving the Morning Cock. You are walking up the walkway to enter the building.
Everything all right?
Everything's fine. I simply had to send a letter back to Voon.
Forgive me, given our current topic of conversation turning towards political intrigue, I grew concerned when you weren't around.
I understand. It seems I will not be taking place. Will not be taking part in any political conversations. So I went and did something else.
We should convene to discuss what we heard and what our thoughts are.
Okay.
If you're available.
Absolutely.
Excellent. I think we'll head up to Fee's, or
Yep.
Jules's quarters.
Yeah, you all reconvene in Jules' private chambers.
Jules will look over at Yuffie. So, how do you know those representatives?
I worked with one of them
Which
in the
one?
court, Alara.
Okay, I was just curious.
I am a member of Her Majesty's court, and I work directly for the Duchess. My father is also a member of the court, and you can tell when she says that, like, if she could ooze venom, she would.
You have strong feelings regarding them. The court.
I have no strong feelings regarding the court. I have strong feelings with the fact that my father bought his way into the court through my servitude to the court.
Ah. I understand your position slightly better now.
My father is an artist. His patron is the queen. We are not a noble family. He bought himself a higher standing in the court and a petty title by promising the court the servitude of his oldest child. When my brother died 3 years ago, I became the oldest child.
That seems...
Inherited responsibility is a heavy thing.
Yes,
Promises
that's exactly
to
what I
the
was
elves
thinking.
are not taken lightly.
No, I imagine not.
Well, it's certainly good to learn and gain a better understanding of the way.
Imnos will definitely give a sidelong look to Alara when he says what he says.
Laura will just purse her lips and nod silently.
So, all things said and done, what did we learn, and what does everyone think?
The Elven delegation was not aware that there would be such illustrious members of other parties in attendance. The queen sent some of her lowest ranking nobles as her delegation. If they would have been aware that the prince and a burrowmaster were in attendance, they would have sent other individuals, which means that either the inclusion of the prince and or the burrowmaster on the guest list were last minute additions that could not be planned for, or certain individuals, most likely the individuals hosting this party, are very specifically downplaying the attendance.
It is an odd mix of high noble versus noble in name. I'm not sure what the proper term would be. I do agree with you there. Who stands to benefit from that?
I don't think that's clear without an idea of what the potential agenda is.
I'm also curious if the High Prince is truly to be in attendance, but I don't know why they would lie about it. It just seems odd. Which the host commented on, I believe.
He did.
I also think that if someone were going to do something and were aware of who the attendees were, knowing that certain delegations are sending their weakest diplomats, often weakest diplomats are the most beholden to diplomatic rules. They're the ones who are most afraid of creating a problem for someone else to solve. A queen or a prince doesn't care what the fuck they do in response to a situation. They will do whatever they need to fix it because they can make diplomatic problems go away with a marriage or with money or with, courtesy placed in the right channels, whereas lower level diplomats do not wield the same power.
The power imbalance is you're dead
Yes.
correct.
In effect, the Accords are basically powerless guests to this entire affair. I believe Imno said if something were to happen and they were purposely there, they are there to be witnesses to something.
They may be there to be witnesses, but considering the fact that the Imperium recently took a major black eye in the eyes of the Accords, anything that goes down, having low-level diplomats present puts a question in their words. The City of Gold isn't that far from the Blue Keep. After what happened in regards to the Imperium mining there without the Hold's clearance, it does risk a political black mark to have this as it is with not including informing the Accords properly.
So you think it may have been intended as an engineered embarrassment for one or both parties?
But I was thinking.
The Imperium has already taken a massive embarrassment. They might be just trying to save face to prevent further embarrassment among the Accords.
They could also be seeking to perhaps the presence of the crown in the mixed company of a lower diplomat. Well, no, that would be less power towards the crown, not away from it.
I think it's more that a lower diplomat is likely not to ask as many questions.
Interesting.
Also, and this is in a absolute worst case scenario, a lower diplomat, should a larger catastrophe happen, will create less political unity. Should, in theory, massive fireballs rip through the place tragically and terribly, the Accords will be certainly upset at the loss of a minor diplomat. The Imperium would be ready for war.
I think you underestimate how strongly we hold on to members of our court. It's difficult to explain this to someone who lives less than 100 years.
Long-lived people suffers no loss of their kind lightly.
Thank you.
I am inclined to agree with Fee in this case. I wouldn't think that the Accords would be a target here. I think that a lower level diplomat would simply be present to report without asking too many of the long questions.
Considering who is in attendance, I feel like if members of the Accords were targets, they would know by now. Or they would have an inkling that something questionable were happening at this banquet.
Exactly.
Regarding our host, by the way, it is my suspicion is that he was relatively unaware of um, just how noble his attendees would be, and he was caught, perhaps not quite as unawares as our friends from the Accords, but relatively unawares, and that he chose to take out a contract with the Adventurers Guild as an extra precaution because he found the added weight of his guest list a cause for concern. I don't think, thus far anyway, that he is the engineer of any ill intent.
I am inclined to agree with you.
My suspicions remain mild on him. There is the possibility that, or what is the possibility that should there be an event that losses from certain group wouldn't raise him up in stature either. Jules looks very out of his element.
It is worth noting it is starting to get very late into the evening at this point. It is well past midnight at this point. You
I
all feel the weariness of the day.
I feel like it is getting late, and we have a lot of unanswered questions currently, and we're simply creating for more and more questions. We should sleep on this and see what information we have in the morning.
Agreed.
I agree. I would like to propose one last thing. I think we should look more into the Star Chasers, and Alara, I think that is something that you should take up and lead. Your presence is more commanding. Your name, I feel, probably more known in the faith. I would be curious to return to the house and speak to the staff. I still feel it's worth looking at the interior, or the possibility of an inside job. But yes, sleep would benefit us all.
Yes, I very much want to meet the Star Chasers and see what is going on there. So yes, let us all to bed and to rest.
Hopefully the morning will grant us a fresh perspective.
All right. So you guys break for the evening, separate out to your separate rooms, and get some sleep. Is anyone doing anything special for their sleep, or is anyone trying to post guards or lay down spells or anything like that?
I don't think so.
Not me.
You have a private message for me? I'll probably spend about an hour and a half doing that.
Okay. All right. You all get your rest and wake up in the morning refreshed. Your heads are still swollen with all this information, all the things that you've thought about, the scenarios that could play out, leaving you very worried for the gala that will be in 2 days' time. What would you like to do?
Because I am interested in seeing if there are any expatriates from the Under Senate. If there are any dwarves or similar traditionally Under Senate peoples that happen to be living in town.
Okay. Give me a gather information check.
Okay. Not great at that. So I may have to ask for help. But that's not the worst.
I didn't see anything come.
Oh, I forgot their separate skills. They're the same number, though.
I didn't see anything pop up on Roll20.
Oh, that's weird. Oh, I have it on to GM for some reason. It was a 12.
Oh, then I can see it in my other screen. There we go.
How do I fix that? How do I make it to everyone?
If you go into your character sheet, do a little fix up here. You go to your character sheet, and then there should be a section Where is it?
The far right under your skills, it says Whisper GM, and it's a drop-down menu.
Interesting. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Wonder.
Because I did the exact same thing for the first 3 sessions.
So, Imnos, you go down into the common area of the tavern or the tavern inn that you guys are staying in, asking around, trying to find any sort of affiliations in town that might be related back to the Under Senate. It's hard to pinpoint expatriates, especially those who may be from the Under Senate. You get the feeling that from the way that people are talking, that unless they're a member of an actual governmental delegation from the Under Senate, people who left in order to serve the country, that the people who just left, it feels like they don't talk about them leaving or having had an affiliation with the Under Senate to begin with.
Interesting.
Generally, those who leave the Under Senate and it's not in service to the kingdom almost always are exiled from the kingdom as a punishment.
Yeah, I understand why they wouldn't want to talk about it.
You do know that there is a place in the City of Gold that the Under Senate does have a delegation, sort of an embassy of sorts, that you could go to if you wanted to, but you wouldn't be able to find true expatriates very easily.
That's at least a place to start. I might want to take someone with me who feels like they can play the subtle diplomacy game. I am interested. I'll let folks know in the morning if they're around. I'm interested in trying to learn more about the Under Senate in general and what representatives of them here might be like. Does anyone feel like they'd want to join me in that pursuit?
I can?
Well, you said subtle, so I think I'm out.
I would be willing, but I think Jules and I are going to be going to look into the Star Chasers for a while.
I agree. I think that would probably be the best use of your time.
I mean, I can. I also speak the requisite languages.
That
case
would be
they
a
shift.
boon, I think.
I mean, do you speak Dwarven?
I do not.
I do.
That would help. I'm good at reading people, but I might want someone with a bit more diplomatic training if I'm going to go to an embassy. I'd appreciate you coming along, Fee, if you're willing.
I'm afraid that's the extent of where my Under Senate languages extend. But if they speak Dwarven, I can at least understand what they're saying.
Well, I never regret an additional sharp pair of eyes.
Okay, so Fee and Imnos are looking to go to the Under Senate embassy. Alara, when you wake up and head downstairs, there is a letter waiting for you.
Okay.
You will find that letter in your Discord.
Thank you.
Jules is downstairs having breakfast. Anybody who sees him, he now has jet black hair. There's no longer the gray color that he was celebrating the other day.
Looks very shiny.
Jules, you look different.
Oh,
What,
I dyed my hair again. I miss the youthful look that it gives me.
It's remarkable what a striking difference it is. You wear it well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The gray just wasn't playing out the way I wanted.
Well, there are those who say the body is as much art as it is temple.
Sometimes I like to think of myself as both. Walking knowledge and whatnot of faith can be inspiring, I hope.
Indeed.
What is your plan for the day? You're going to examine the Undercity delegation.
Yes. I don't know if it'll bear any fruit, but I think understanding as much as we can about the representatives of the Undercity will help us maybe paint a more complete picture, especially given their unusual attendance.
I wish I had some insight. It's not a society I'm deeply familiar with.
Well, I think very few are, and that's kind of the point.
All right, we're actually going to take our break for the evening right here. Join us back here in about 10 minutes, everyone. Welcome back, everybody, as we continue on with this game. Thank you for the break. You all have slept, you have had your breakfast. Imnos and Fee, it sounds like you two are going to be heading towards the Under Senate Embassy. Jules, what are you looking to do? Are you and
I was
Laura doing
planning-
something?
Yeah, I was planning to follow Alara's lead. I think we were going to go check out the workhouse and possibly other religious areas.
Okay. Kip, what are you planning?
You're muted.
Don't use that tone with me, Captain Always Muted. I got nothing. I'm just going to bum around my room until people get back because neither of the investigations are my specialty.
Yep, there might be doors at the embassy.
That's exactly why I'm not going, because you'll yell at me.
He's learning.
All right. So you're going to bum around the morning cock. That's not a problem. Let's start off with Imnos and Fee. Finding the Under Senate Embassy is not a big problem. It is a governmental building after all. It's not hard to get directions there by asking the town guard. The actual building for the Under Senate Embassy is a 3-story tall tower. It looks like it is made through a combination of marble and obsidian stone blocks that create this nice mosaic all the way twisting like a spiral up to the top of the tower. You all are easily able to gain entry into the grounds of the embassy. You see a variety of different races here. It's not just dwarves that make up the Under Senate. The Under Senate is a composition of dwarves as well as underground creatures for the most part. You have goblins, you have orcs, half orcs, kobolds, lizard folk. Drow even seem to walk around in the daylight here on the upper parts of the tower floor that you are able to get access to on the bottom. As you guys walk in, there is an attendant who does take notice of you and makes his way over.
Do you mind if I have a brief aside before we actually go into the building?
Absolutely. I apologize. I pushed you guys too
No,
forward.
not at all. On the way over, Imnos just wants to address Fee and say, I wanted to wait until we weren't in front of everyone to say this, but I wasn't aware of some of the specifics of your situation. Obviously, it's not my business, but if you ever wish to speak of it, I would be more than happy to listen.
It's appreciated. Please understand, my father feels bad for what he did. My brother had more courtly aspirations than I did. So the arrangement benefited both of them, my brother in a more circuitous way. And when the illness took my brother and I had to take his place, our family was left scrambling in ways that they were not prepared for.
I can appreciate that.
It is not as though my father sold me into some type of servitude where I did not have any choice in what manner I would be acting. And I don't hate the work I do. It benefits my faith, and it benefits my court, and it benefits my queen. It is just not the life that I would have chosen on my own.
As I indicated earlier, I understand that the weight of inherited responsibility is a complex thing. It can elevate you, but it also has costs. It's weighty. I just wish you to I wish you to know that you can count me among those who appreciate the complexity of your situation.
Thank you. I will let you drive this meeting.
Very well.
I will observe and take note of as much that I can. And feel free to bring me in where you think necessary.
Very well. And obviously step in if you sense that it would be worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give this a shot.
All right. So you all enter into the embassy, and a goblin walks up to you all wearing finely pressed robes, holding a book in his hand. His long, dangly, droopy ears flop around his head as he looks up to you all. How can the Undersnet be of assistance to you all today?
Good morning. My name is Imnos. I was hoping I might speak with someone who could tell me more about the Undersenate as a whole. I understand there are limits to what an outsider may know, obviously, but I wish to know more of your peoples and your culture and what it is to be neighbors to the Imperium as your people are.
You said that your name is Amnos?
Yes.
Do you represent a house or a trade or a company?
I'm a member of the Adventurers Guild.
Ah, very good. You keep the kingdom safe from terror and ruin, as I understand it.
That is what we endeavor to do, yes.
I'm afraid that all of our representatives, for the most part, are scheduled. Perhaps I could answer some questions.
If you have the
if you
time,
want to
I'd be
step
grateful.
aside.
Thank you.
He nods, and he will beckon you all to follow him as he takes you to a small alcove with a few chairs and a table set off to the side. And he plops himself down into a chair and sets his book on the table. So what kinds of things are you looking to know about the Undersenate?
Well, to be frank, I find the Undersenate most mysterious. I know that we in the Imperium rely greatly upon trade with your government, but I know very little of the details of that trade and what it is that our peoples offer one another.
Well, as far as trade is concerned, most of the minerals and ores that come into the Imperium come primarily from the Undersenate, as well as we also provide the largest amount of quarried stone into the Imperium as well for the great structures. For instance, here in the City of Gold, almost everything that's built here came from the Undersenate through the trade routes that we have provided over the years. In
That must be
return,
rather...
I apologize.
Continue, please.
Well, I was just going to say that in return, the Imperium hosts a variety of ensorcelled enchantments that are not things that we practice in the Undersenate. And so these goods are trafficked back into our homeland for study and convenience of our people.
Interesting. It sounds like rather a daunting enterprise to transfer such a great quantity of stone and other heavy items. Your trade routes must be most impressive.
We certainly try to upkeep the King's Road the best that we can. From here through the Twin Lakes, most of the Imperium operates off the waterways across the entire northern and southern shields, and so we rely on the mercantile families of the Imperium to transport our goods. except for the heaviest loads that we transport ourselves.
And do you transport them above ground via the road as well?
Well, there are underground routes that we do employ for the majority of the stonework that we ship across the kingdoms. It's really the only efficient way to move tons and tons of marble and obsidian and limestone across the vastness of the Imperium. Your lands are huge compared to our own in many ways. Not that those routes
Fascinating.
are easier to travel, but they are more direct.
Interesting. I understand it is very unusual for citizens of the Under Senate to leave the confines of their home.
It is a great honor for me and the other representatives of the Under Senate to leave our lands and our families in order to come out and represent the Under Senate. This honor affords our families back in the boroughs the ability to gain notoriety, gain wealth and fame. That is not easily afforded within our home.
I hope it's not indelicate to ask. Is it true that you may not return?
I am never allowed to set foot back into the Under Senate for as long as I live. The only time I will return is upon my death to be buried with my family.
I appreciate you answering the question. I hope you know that I have great respect for the sacrifice you make for your family.
It is rewarding to hear someone of the Imperium who can understand the sacrifices that are made by us in our homeland and not scorn our home for its heavy-handed policy.
Is that true of everyone from your lands, regardless of their rank?
That they're not allowed to return?
Yes.
That is
Once
correct.
they leave.
There is only one exception to that policy as far as I'm aware.
What might that be?
Royal Accord. We would never expect the Queen of the Imperium or the sitting steward to travel into the Under Senate. They would never be allowed. But likewise, our king would never travel into the Imperial High City. So there are neutral grounds that they are allowed to travel to speak on high royal needs, as well as with the Accords and with the tribes people of the Kali. When these types of things need to be had, it is an exception.
Most infrequent one, I would imagine.
It does not come up very often. I don't believe it's happened in several hundred years. Actually, I don't think.
What was the cause of the last one of these such meetings? Just so I can understand what the gravity of the situation would need to be to require such a meeting to take place.
Well, I don't really know the last time that it happened, but it would have to be something in the vein of war, peace talks. I would assume that when the Accords had the Great War with Zag, that following all of that, the Under Senate king was called to speak and fashion out the peace accords that followed. That would I would think that would be one such event to give the weight of it.
I suppose that would make sense.
World altering political.
Right.
occasion.
If it's not big, it really doesn't concern us outside of our lands. Though I guess I should note that we do also allow the leaving of our lands and the acquisition of new land.
Ah, interesting.
But that it's only up until that point, right? So like if down underground is where we expand. We don't expand on the surface any longer. The old accords that were drawn back in the old ages, those stand, and we hold those oaths true still today, unlike others in other lands. But underground, our dominion spreads, and so our people are allowed to move out and travel to those new areas to take claim of those territories. Can't mine if you can't expand, so it would be very silly not
Indeed.
to allow them to come back after mining up all that hard work for us.
Well, strict adherence to tradition is clearly very important to your people.
Exceptionally so.
I actually chanced on the King's Road to run across a runesmith who told me a very little bit about what it was like to once live within the Undersenate. It's a fascinating encounter.
The Runesmiths are one of our most prestigious organizations. They travel far and wide across all the lands, bringing back a wealth of knowledge and goods to us that are not easily acquired through diplomatic channels.
He traveled with wonders beyond my understanding.
Their magic is strong, honed through careful technique.
To understand a bit more about the makeup of your society, if I may,
Yeah?
the title of Burrowmaster.
Mhm.
What is the duty of such a noble?
How to explain? Well, you in the Imperium, you have nation states that make up the whole of the Imperium. Each of these nations are ran in various ways. Some with traditional fiefdoms and kings and queens. Um, some of them are majocracies. Some are oligarchies. Some are theocracies. But you do have a few nations in your borders that are more democratically elected. Votes are tallied. People are represented by the voice of the people under them.
Yes.
That is the entire structure of the Undersenate's political ways. Though we do have a sitting king, he is only empowered by the voice of the Burrowmasters, who are empowered by the people who elect them into their positions.
Intriguing.
So the Burrowmaster is in essence the true power of the kingdom, or the true facilitator of the power in the kingdom. They regulate their areas, they impart policy, they vote on things that would span across our country, and then the king places it into edict and binds it by oath across the entire Undersenate.
Do they have a specific term of office, or do they serve for life? Or
Oh, they serve for 20-year terms.
I see. Interesting.
How many sitting Burrowmasters are there at one point at any one time?
29. And then as
Intriguing.
we expand into new areas, new boroughs are created, but only by odd number.
So that a vote would never be tied.
Correct.
You will go from 29 to 31, etc.
That's correct. New boroughs are created by twos.
That seems a very sensible policy.
We're very sensible people.
Aside from, if I may, aside from a royal decree, as you mentioned before, is there anything that would ever cause a Burrowmaster to travel the surface, aside from, well, you would only expand below ground, so...
You mean
there
travel
ever be-
outside the borders of the Undersenate?
Indeed.
No, they would abdicate their position. You can't rule a borough if you leave the borough.
And there have never been exceptions to this rule that you're aware of?
No, only the king and his attendants are allowed to leave the Undersenate for that one exception I spoke of.
Interesting. Do you know, are all those who serve the Undersenate or former residents of the Undersenate in town serving here in the embassy?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Are there any former members of the Undersenate in the City of Gold who aren't here serving as
Oh.
emissaries?
Oh, the exiles. I know a couple who live in the city. Though it is their deep shame to be here and not back in their home.
I assume exile is fairly uncommon.
It's our greatest punishment, even more than death and execution.
I
Be
can imagine it's a bitter
deprived
thing.
Be deprived of one's home is one thing, but to commit a crime and have your home taken from you for all time with no chance of ever recovering it is a shame that lingers in our hearts. We were raised from birth to fear it more than death. Homes are very important to us.
I couldn't agree more.
You can actually see that he's tearing up slightly talking about his home and the thought of never going back.
Please forgive me if I have caused you pain by discussing such an unpleasant subject.
No, it's one of my many duties here, and it is a good reminder of my purpose and what I chose to do.
Is there a neighborhood in the city that the exiles seem to congregate to more than another?
Why do you ask?
Curiosity is admittedly a factor, but
I think in order to best understand the way we're trying to understand the way that the under Senate operates from a scholarly perspective, and myself from a diplomatic perspective. And I think as much as I would want to understand how any kingdom or governmental entity would operate by speaking to their best and brightest and most ideal representatives of the government, such as yourself, a bureaucrat or a noble, it is also important to understand how members that have been shunned by that society, even justifiably so, as punishment for whatever crimes they might have committed, it's important to see how they see themselves, or they see themselves as former members of that government. It gives a more whole and comprehensive view of that society, to see the lighter sides and to see the darker sides.
And there is one other thing.
Do you want me to roll diplomacy?
Real quick. Someone needs to roll diplomacy, and then someone is going to aid them. So choose who's going to be the primary roller and who's going to be the assisting roller.
Oh, I'm going to aid you. You're the one who gave that whole speech.
Okay.
All right.
I do have a couple of things to say to justify my aid, if I may, though.
I'd say everything that you've been doing up to now would justify it, but if there's something else you want to say quickly, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to say our other the other thing I wish to offer is the hope that as members of the Adventuring Guild and as graduates of the Adventuring Academy, those who, regardless of for what reason they obtained exile, if they have the skills and inclination to potentially join, they may be afforded new opportunities and new purpose. They may be able to serve even their old home in unusual but beneficial ways. They may find something to give them a sense of belonging that they may otherwise lack.
So, in response to Imnos, you do see him grimace at those words, and shake his head a little bit. There is no service to our home for any of those people. They are not in our hearts. They are not our people, and they can never be of service to us again. Nor would we want them to be. Their taint forced them away. But, and he looks towards Fee, if you want to speak to one of them, I can direct you to one that I know in town. He comes by every now and again pleading, though his words are false and without merit. But if you want to speak to him to try and understand more, I will not be an obstacle to that, I suppose.
I appreciate it, and I understand that he is not a representative of your government and of your lands, and that any opinions or thoughts that he might share about your people or your government are tainted through his interpretation and through whatever punishment you delivered to him.
He reaches down into his book and opens it up. He pulls a quill out of his pocket and he begins writing, and then tears off the little slip of paper and pushes it across the table to you all.
All right.
It says Klaxon.
Mhm.
And I will type that in chat for you. I don't know exactly where he lives in the South District, but I'm sure if you ask for a Minotaur, it won't be hard to find him.
I doubt there are many.
I doubt that too.
It's appreciated. Do you
Thank
have
you.
more questions, Imnos, or are we
Oh,
finished?
no, I believe I'm quite satisfied.
Excellent.
Thank you for your assistance, and again, I beg your forgiveness if in ignorance I gave offense.
No, it's understandable. You came here to learn, and I can't be angry at that. And he will hop off of his chair and proceed to let you all leave.
Well done, Fee.
Yay, diplomat.
All right, let's shift the focus across the city back to the Morning Cock, where Alara and Jules are finishing up their breakfast.
It looks good, Jules.
Thank you. I felt it brought some youth back to my eyes.
Whatever brings
So-
you joy.
So, what do you think as far as the Star Chasers in this? Do you think they would really want to take action at something like this?
No, because in taking action at something like this, it hurts the Star Chasers more than it helps them. If they seek to change their stars, if they seek to rise above their station, if they seek to change things from the top, which is something I personally understand and I personally admire about them, sabotaging a gala of nobles is not the way to do it. The reason for that is if a commoner seeks to become a noble, they want to ingratiate themselves with nobles, not push themselves further from them. You can't have people understand your message if you ostracize them.
True. So you think that whoever could be behind this might be using them as a cover?
I mean, what do nobles hate more than the idea of a commoner rising to their station at the great equilibrium to bring the idea that a commoner bleeds the same blood as a noble is just antithesis to so many nobles.
Well, I can lead you to the tavern, the whistle, or we should go to the workhouse and ask around about them.
I think going to the workhouse first is fine to see what we can find on the up and up, but since you have that other information, moving from there to there, even if we don't get what we're looking for, we have the answer anyways. So let's start at the workhouse. We might learn more.
I'll follow your lead.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Jules, Alara, you've already gone to the workhouse, so you know the location. So you lead Jules across town to the western district, where the workhouse is located. You see the same half-orc woman standing outside the door that you met last time. She sees you approach, and you see her smile, a big tusky tooth grin as you approach, as she gives a small wave. Oh, hi!
I offer her a smile and I offer her a wave. Hello again. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. I have learned. I pause and I look around. Why don't we step back into that back room again?
Sure. Yeah. She opens up the door and lets you both in. You can see as Jules walks into the workhouse, she does pause a moment and looks up at the ceiling of the entryway, and then she looks back down, and then she gives like a small deferential nod to Jules as he walks into the workhouse.
I turn and give Jules a quizzical look. We'll talk about this later face, and continues into the room.
She closes the door and leads you guys off to a side. Again, the workhouse is made up of a variety of bunks. Even the hallways have bunks and cots in them. Small areas where people congregate, as she leads you into the pamphlet room and poster room. There is one person who's inside currently at this time of day who seems to be working on some pamphlets and posters, painting and writing things down. They look up as you guys approach, and they give you a friendly smile, but then turn back to their work and seem very focused on it. She walks over and takes a seat as she looks up at you guys. So, how'd everything go at that bar?
It went exceptionally well. Thank you for directing me in that location. Yes.
You're not hurt? They didn't try and mess with you any?
Of course not.
Good. I mean, I wouldn't want to mess with you. You look like you could go a couple rounds.
It's never good to bruise that which might be helping you or paying you in as many words. I feel like every single time I talk to you, I have to ask you something that can be considered taboo. But
the
I like
person
you.
at the desk looks up.
And look at the person at the desk. Hi.
Should I be here?
What's your name?
My name is Ike. And he looks at the half-orc woman, And she waves her hand, says, "Go get something to eat, Ike."
Jules will pull out a silver and hand it to Ike as they're leaving.
He gives you a very solid nod. Thank you very much, sir. And then he leaves. You can hear the front door open and close as he apparently is going to leave the grounds to go get some early lunch.
And Alara chuckles and she looks at the half-orc woman again. She goes, "I didn't get a chance to introduce myself to you last time, did I?"
No, I mean, other than knowing you're one of the faithful.
My name is Alara Avalar.
My name's Chris.
It's nice
With a
to meet
K.
you, Chris. I feel it's appropriate to give you my name if I'm going to ask you the question I'm about to ask you. I heard a rumor, and you seem to be the woman who has answers to some rumors, or even rumors yourself. I heard a rumor that there are operating star chasers in the City of Gold.
You see her roll her eyes, kind of with exasperation as she leans back in her chair. You hear it creak under her. Yeah, I know them. Bunch of angry fucks. They cause
Well,
them
tell me about
problems.
them. No, actually, I would like to meet them, but why are they causing you problems?
I mean, they're like most of the star chasers that I've met. They're angry, and instead of funneling that anger into work and trying to push for equality and help, they push for grand ideals and elevating themselves and those in their immediate circles.
In some cases, I do believe that ideology can be flawed, and I agree with you. However, anger is great fuel for change.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm not angry a lot. Don't get me wrong. I get pretty fucking angry sometimes, but if I just go off hauling on people or trying to push my way into some sort of nobility, I'm not helping the community. I'm not helping anybody by doing stuff like that.
What about when it's the nobility who creates laws that make being not noble illegal?
I mean, that's why we should just get rid of nobility, I think. I mean, do it like they do down in Trat Town. Democracy, having the people speak. Having the voice.
Democracy. I agree with democracy and I support democracy. However, democracy does still have roots in having a leader and having someone who has risen up through their ideas to change the world isn't something that we necessarily have to disagree with. And it's something I actually agree with myself.
I mean, I'm not saying that there don't need to be leaders. I mean, we have our leader here in the workhouse, and you're traveling with the Hera monk. I mean, leaders have to. There has to be someone to congregate around and bind us together, and our voices united. But they don't want to speak for the community. They want to speak for themselves.
Not all of them.
Okay, insight, and I might not need to roll for this. Were they referring to me as the hero monk?
Yeah, she wafted her hand towards you as she said that very casually.
Okay.
I don't know. I get that you got your feelings on it, but I've been dealing with these guys in town for so long now. They do nothing but hurt. They don't do nothing good. Like, I think they think their hearts are in good places and they treat people with kindness, but they don't. They're selfish.
I can respect that.
Are they competent?
Some of them. I mean, not
Do you
everyone's
know?
competent, but they are capable.
Do you know who generally leads them?
That would probably be Munkter.
Munkter.
Yeah,
Who
Munkter.
is- Can you tell me about him?
He is, well, from what I remember when I met him the one time and what others had told me about him, he used to be some captain of some noble's guard here in town. And then he kind of fell into some disgrace and lost his position. He got
You remember?
salty.
Do you remember which noble he served?
No.
Does the name Francis mean anything to you? Maybe
Yeah, I think there's a
Frankie?
guy who comes through here. I think he might be one of them. I don't keep up with all of them. They're growing. They've been getting stronger over the last year or so. Getting better equipment. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know where they're getting the money from. They
Hmm.
come by here every now and then and give money to the workhouse. I mean, some of their hearts are in good places and some of their ideals are in good places, like I said, but I don't know. It feels like they're trying to buy us instead of giving to us. I don't let them inside the workhouse no more, though.
Okay.
Probably wise, given their disposition.
Well, Gregor doesn't think it's a good idea either, and I certainly don't. And the house
Gregor?
agrees with me.
Gregor?
Gregor, he's our hero monk here in this workhouse. The house recognizes him, and I recognize the house.
Who is there? There's one more name that I have heard. A fellow who might travel with them, Stephen.
Yeah, Frankie and Steve, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, that's
Steve-
definitely them.
Steve and Gregor. Are they social with each other at all?
Well, Gregor's social with everybody. Like that's his job. I mean, you know that job.
It is difficult.
Like you make friends, you're polite, you try and work and get everyone to work together for the same common goals.
Sure.
We just don't let him in the house no more.
Okay, I can respect that. I can understand that. You have to take care of the people who are here. Would you tell me where I could find these individuals?
South side. I don't know where at down there, but I know they spread out some pamphlets down there and they recruit from down there.
Okay.
That's where they're gonna get the angriest people in town from.
I was thinking it might be pleasant to break bread with the High Hierophant or the High Monk here. Would that be possible for you to arrange?
Oh, sure. I mean, he's upstairs if you want to talk with him.
Yes. If you give me directions to his office, I will make my own way.
Yeah, it's just up the stairs over there, and it's your third door on the right.
I'll be back in a moment, Alara. And
Okay.
Jules will excuse himself to go up there.
Okay. You move through the house, Jules. As you pass rooms, there are several open doors. You can see people congregating. Some are just playing cards. Some are sharing food with each other. Some are working on some different tasks, making little crafts and things like that.
I'm definitely strolling, looking for any familiar faces from the Whistling Pig.
You don't see any.
Okay.
as you arrive to the closed door that was indicated to you.
Okay. I will gently knock on the door.
Come in.
Walk inside.
You walk in. You see a middle-aged man, salt and pepper, short-cut hair. He's wearing very casual clothes as he's standing next to a desk, looking down at some papers.
Mhm.
And he turns. Yes. Can I help you? I don't recognize you.
Oh, sorry. I am Father Jules. I was in town and wanted to make myself known if you have any need of additional clerical hands around.
Well, many hands make light work. It is a pleasure to have you in our house.
Indeed.
Come have a seat.
Oh, I'll sit down sit down across from him.
Yeah, he moves over to your side of the desk and takes a seat next to you. Where do you hail from, Jules?
Oh, yeah. I actually am just coming from the Academy for Adventurers.
Oh,
But
good
before that, I've
services.
spent most of my life traveling and performing works. How about yourself? How long have you been in the City of Gold?
Oh, all my life. I was born just right down the street, actually.
Really?
Been a member of this workhouse for as long as I can remember.
I do have a question, and I won't take up too much of your time. And I'm sorry, I never caught your name.
Oh, Gregor.
Ah, okay. I have been curious how you all have been. What's the word to say? Well, I've completely forgotten what I was going to ask you. The young the orcish lady downstairs told me
Chris.
you were up here. I got so excited. Yes, Chris. I got so excited to see another exemplary member of the faith. I just had to come up, but yeah, I appreciate your time. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, it's no trouble. It is always good to know the faithful in town, especially
Yes.
traveling adventurer faithful. It's good to know that you're here, and I'm glad that you made yourself known to me. I couldn't be happier
Yeah.
for your presence.
I'm glad to be here. I'm going to take my leave, but if you have need of me, feel free to send word. I'm at the morning cock.
Of course, if we have need, which we always do, but I won't trouble you with our smaller problems. We can deal with those, but coming for an accomplished adventurer, we'll keep your name in mind.
Do you have many large problems?
I mean, just the constant good fight, but nothing on the scale that you're probably used to dealing with. Our problems are much more local. Unlike some of the other workhouses, we focus more on our immediate area and what we can do to better the lives of those around us, as opposed to the constant struggle of equality.
I did hear something upon the streets that there might be some very active star chasers here in town. Do
Small
you
band
know
of
anything
them.
of them?
They are devout in their belief that with strength they can raise their stars. I believe that they have been poisoned.
I heard a name, Monctor.
Munkta, he is the leader of the Star Chasers here in town. We have unfortunately had many disagreements, and he has been barred from the house.
Do you know where we might find him?
The last
I
time
found that my specialty is speaking peace into conflicted hearts.
if someone could bring peace to his heart, I would be very happy. He was a good friend of mine, and his turn has soured many decades of friendship. The last place I knew that he was working out of was a small workhouse he was trying to put together himself on the south side, though I heard that that fell through, unfortunately for him.
Okay. Well, again, I appreciate your insight, and if you have any need of me, feel free to send message. I'll be glad to offer any help that I may, and I may speak to him, and hopefully, if he finds peace, I will make it known to him. Only should I be sure that such was successful, that he should reach out to you and repair such friendships.
You would have my eternal thanks. I'll leave you to your adventures. Power to you.
Power to you. Just shake his hand and leave.
Alara, Chris is still downstairs with you.
So, how have things been going here at the workhouse in the City of Gold? Like, have there been any good developments? Anything concerning? Are people being treated all right?
I mean, we had some food poison rashes that happened a month or two back. We put together a really good campaign and got them to completely remove the grain stores that we found out were probably tainted, and completely refreshed the stockpile there.
Thank you.
What were they tainted with?
I don't know. I think it was like mold and rat droppings and too much of that stuff. I don't really know the fine particulars of it.
Interesting. Something similar happened with the water out near Badger Keep.
I mean,
Where the water was contaminated.
I won't say that we have like the cleanest water of all the water, but no one's been getting sick off of it.
Yeah, it's concerning that food and water are being contaminated all over the place.
I guess it's good you're traveling with a hero monk. Don't see them traveling very much.
What do you mean?
Well, they take care of the workhouse. Like Gregor, he takes care of the workhouse. He serves the community. That's what their job is.
It's fair.
That's what the house tells me, at least.
Yeah. I am very, very fortunate, yes. My entire party is very fortunate to have Jules with us. He is a blessing in every way.
I'm sure. Seems like a nice guy.
He is. He's probably the best of us. Is there anything I can do to help while I am here?
I mean, probably nothing that's worth your kind of might. I mean, we got some small things going on around the block, but they're small. We got them pretty under control, I think. I mean, if you can take care of those Star Chasers, that'd be great. Give them a good crack or something, make them see some fucking sense. I'd love to have them back.
I believe that energy like that can go and do great good, but it needs to be properly directed. And I'm curious to see which direction it is currently in.
I guess good luck.
Everyone's angry. Everyone's angry, and everyone has the right to be angry. It's how you use that anger that determines whether or not you're seeing clearly.
I don't disagree with you.
Well, if you find you need any of my services, I'll be in town for another couple days at the Morning Cock.
Okay.
Beyond that, if you send a missive to me, like through the obelisk or something like that, I should be able to get it wherever I am.
I don't really go near that place. Gives me the heebie-jeebies,
That's fair. It's a great mail service.
I guess.
Communication makes us wise.
I think I'd rather
keeps
hire
us-
a man to walk it. Feels a little
That's
bit more
fair.
honest.
It can go multiple ways, but I understand the hesitance in utilizing the hold. Regardless, I wish you well, and I hope that I see you again soon.
Absolutely. I hope to see you again. You hear Jules walking down the stairs and enter into the room.
I go through the pamphlets, and I take the ones that I don't already have copies of.
Yeah, you find some that are trying to organize like some farmers market style community drives for food. That seems to be the only one that you don't currently have.
Awesome. Like a food co-op.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, great. Well, I take it. And I go out and meet Jules.
I'll wave to Chris as I meet Alara at the door.
Yeah. Chris gets up
Shall
and
we?
she'll actually open the door.
Absolutely. It seems we have much to talk about.
Chris, it was a blessing to meet you. Power to you, and thank you for everything you do for the church.
Power to you, Hero Monk. And she gives a small nod to you. And then opens the door, walks out with you all, and then takes up her position right next to the door like always.
As we start walking towards the south side, I look at Jules. Hero Monk, huh?
Apparently my reputation precedes me.
I would love to hear this story.
I'm not sure where it comes from. I was as confused as you were by her glance to the above her at the door frame. I'm not sure I understood.
Both of you give me a knowledge religion check real fast. Sorry, Kate, I don't mean to cut you off, but
Okay.
but you may know something. All right, so it looks like I got a 6 for Jules and a 24 for Alara. So, Jules, you know that Chris is the watcher of the house. Her job is essentially to be the bodyguard of the house. How she knew that you were a Hero Monk, you have no earthly idea. You had a watcher at your workhouse that you were a part of, but you were very wrapped up in a lot of your duties, and they had their duties, and they didn't really clash against each other than advisory roles to one another. Alara, you know that the Watcher has a special connection to the Workhouse. The Workhouse is, all intents and purposes, the temple to Gillespie. And much like the cleric has a connection to the god itself, the Watcher has a connection to the house of the god and the people that enter it, and is able to glean information by people that step through the threshold. It's very possible that the house itself recognized what Jules is and spoke to her, letting her know what was going on and who was entering her house.
So, were you heavily involved with a workhouse at one point?
Well, in my travels, I've definitely helped many workhouses. Helped when there's been a hero monk that has been ill or unable to perform services, or in the event of one's death. I've oftentimes stepped in as an honorary role, but such comes with experience and age. That could be the only reason I would think of such a thing. I'm not sure where they got the knowledge. You can sense motive. If you'd
Yeah,
like.
I was gonna say, can I sense motive here? Because I get the feeling like he might be hiding something.
Let me find my bluff roll.
So, Alara, he's not lying to you. He's not jittery. He's not looking away from you. You don't get the sense that he's telling you an outright lie, but you do feel like Jules is holding something back.
Yeah, that's I didn't think he's lying to me. I think he's keeping something from me.
You do feel like there's much more to this story that he's just not speaking about.
I'm not going to push, but I feel like there's something you're not telling me, Jules. But it's your story, and you are welcome to share it when you feel like.
You see Jules go from his smiling face, and he still has that warm presence, but you see him start to tear up a little bit and then regain his composure. All in good time. There is a reason I travel, and I'll look around to see if there's anybody who I wouldn't want to overhear things.
Just passerbys. No one seems to be focusing on you.
There's a reason I travel, and I certainly don't seek to deceive, but a low profile is something. My privacy is something I value very much in my travels right now. Hence why I tell people my name is Father Shackleford sometimes when people start talking about the Knights of Luna.
Well, I should inform you that there are ears everywhere. If you want to be going by a different name and don't want to be your deeds to be known by the name you currently give us, you should have everyone in the party use a different name.
This is wise. I'm not accustomed in the arts of subterfuge or deception, as it were. Perhaps I should speak to Kip.
Or Akko.
Or it seems I am surrounded by smiling faces with much power in communication. But yes, I agree with you, and that may be something we should consider for our next mission. As it stands, we are where we are, and the name is out there. I did hear another name while I spoke to Gregor. This Monctor person, or maybe Chris mentioned it, but ex-captain of a noble's guard involved
Any
with
idea
the Star
what noble?
Chasers. He couldn't remember.
Okay.
It'd be worth asking around about.
To be clear, you asked Chris if she knew what noble family. The topic of who he served never came up to Gregor.
Okay. I might. It slipped my mind to ask Gregor, but I'm sure we could do some research, ask around. But that seems like our most likely person who has fallen from nobility, seeking to raise himself, as was mentioned as possible motive.
Now that is a different flavor. One who has fallen and is seeking to rise again than one who is seeking to rise from the ground up.
Yes, but a boat is easier to row if you have more people rowing with you.
Of course. Well, let's head that way and see what we can find.
To the Whistling Pig?
Yep. And of course, I'm not trying to push your story. We all have our own stories. I understand.
You remind me of, well, I trust you more than I trust most. And I appreciate the confidence you are willing to give me.
Of course. And I appreciate that compliment, and I share it in you. So let's head to the Whistling Pig, and we make our way.
So you guys keep saying Whistling Pig. Where are you guys going?
Oh, sorry, the wet whistle.
The wet whistle.
Wet whistle. Okay. I don't know. I wasn't there.
Gotcha. All right, perfect. Well, as you all head off, that is where we're going to call the game for tonight. I believe that that's going to be a good stopping point for us. A lot has been accomplished. You guys have started to find some more puzzle pieces, learn some information about the Under Senate. And that is, I think, where we're going to pick up next week in the next episode of Realms of Far Off. I want to thank everyone who's been watching tonight. Check in Tuesday next week. We have the next episode of Dragon Horde on Tuesday at 5:30 Central. And I appreciate everyone being here. You all have a great night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.